whenever you're satisfied it's 9 o'clock.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners' January 3rd meeting. Our first order of business is to stand and say the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business, every first meeting of January is to have a reorganization of the president. So may I have a nomination for president?
I'll nominate Jordan Brewer to be president of the Clinton County Board of Commissioners.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries 3-0. Jordan, you can take it away.
Thank you, Britt. Next up, we'll look for nomination for vice president.
I'll make a motion to nominate Josh for vice president.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're reorganized. I look forward to carrying the baton Josh has had for a few years and keeping the board moving forward. And we've got along really well and done a lot of good things so far, and we'll continue into 2022. First up is public comment.
Good morning.
Morning, Ashley.
I had a few questions regarding this document that you've presented to the Clinton County Sheriff's Office attorneys. Can't seem to get a meeting, so I had to come and do it this route. I'd like to know what the purpose of the document is.
What the purpose of the document
Yes,
is?
sir, the purpose of the document.
The purpose of the document is to address the nepotism issue that was highlighted by the State Board of Accounts.
Is this a labor contract?
It's an employment contract.
Employment contract.
Okay. In the findings by the SBOA on page 4, it indicated that labor contracts should be authorized by county council. County council is not on this document.
It's a good question, Tom. I'll guess from a legal standpoint, I'll see if you have
I don't
any
like that
thoughts.
document, is it?
It's an employment document.
Even as an employment contract, a labor contract is between an employee and an employer, which is authorized by Clinton County Council, according to page 4 of the findings of the SBOA report.
However, all contracts are through the commissioners in the county.
Well,
It's no different
that's still
than
to be
the-
determined.
Than the commissary agreement.
That is still in litigation in Tippecanoe County, Mr. Brewer.
Okay?
Okay. Am I a contractor in the agreement?
Yes.
Okay. If I'm a contractor, do you have any other contractors with the county that are on county time clocks and offered county benefits?
We do not right now. This is a unique contract that we're offering you to address the issues that were highlighted by the State Board of Accounts.
And I
They
think that's where we disagree. Have you consulted an ISA attorney regarding the special exemptions of the sheriff's office?
We have consulted.
With an ISA attorney?
We have consulted with our legal through other legal, yes.
Okay, is that an employment attorney?
I mean, we have reached out to the appropriate parties and discussed a direction to go. And we came up with.
Who are your
the-
appropriate
The
parties?
first step was we offered you guys to present something to us to address the issue.
And we did that, section 13 of Title 36 under Indiana State statute.
Is the same section that the
It's-
State
it's
Board of
part of-
Accounts highlights is not in compliant.
Okay, section 9 of the same title is where you would revoke the exemption. Your policy does not revoke the exemption of the sheriff. And actually, nepotism law was written by a former Blackford County Sheriff, Representative Mahan. I don't think it was ever the intent of the legislators.
It was written by a special prosecutor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he authored the bill. He authored the bill in the House in 2012, and the purpose was to further restrict local and county governments from nepotism, which is fine, but they gave the exception to the sheriff and to the coroner and to trustees, I believe. So the issue that we don't agree with, and I believe it would require judicial determination to remove me, is that whether or not I'm in compliance with your state minimum policy What you have implemented is the statutory minimum policy, and it doesn't list that you're further restricting it as in Section 9. Section 9 talks about further restricting the requirements of nepotism, and you haven't done that. Your policy is the statutory minimum.
Brett, I think we did do that, didn't we? When we confirmed that it was more restrictive? We filed the necessary paperwork.
Yeah, everything's on Gateway
In what year?
or the 2012 ordinance.
What you have filed is the 2012 ordinance, and it's the minimum statutory requirement. It does not have any further restrictions to remove the exemption of the sheriff to specifically employ his spouse under Section 13 of Title 36.
That's your opinion.
It doesn't
It
specify.
is. It's the opinion of many ISA attorneys and employment attorneys and a former judge. So I think we have a disagreement. There's a disparity here that I think requires either a sit-down conversation before taking drastic measures or a judicial determination through the courts.
We've agreed to sit down with your attorney. Did they not notify you?
Yeah, you agreed after the Tippecanoe County Court case.
No, it was just the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The response I received was that you will not have a conversation until after the Tippecanoe County Court case.
No, that's not what we
That's
told your
incorrect.
attorney.
Okay, so why are you taking the drastic measures today and removing me, a political appointee of the sheriff? The only person that can appoint the matron constitutionally is the sheriff.
I think the easy answer is the Indiana State Board of Accounts told us we needed to.
Okay, and
So how do you recommend we respond to the Indiana State Board of Accounts after they tell us?
what I've just said, your policy is a statutory minimum, sir. And in the
report-
statutory
I'm not
minimum,
gonna-
it allows
I mean,
Section
So the
13.
report says this is what we need to do. So my question to you then is, how do we go forward knowing that they've told us to do this and just say no?
Where have they told you to do this? In their findings?
Yes.
Okay, their findings refer to Section 9. Again, that'll be a judicial determination. What are you going to do if I refuse to sign it?
Nothing. If you don't want to continue, that's up to you.
If I don't want to continue what? The sheriff is the only person with the authority to appoint the matron. It's his constitutional authority. In fact, he has 3 appointments: the legal deputy, the chief deputy, and the matron. And what's happened here is you've refused to pay our legal deputy, and now you're refusing to pay me, both of which were both women.
I don't,
We've had issues since day one, Mr. Ewitz, and I'm requesting a sit-down so that we can have a conversation to justify to SBOA what our decision here is.
we have something scheduled to meet with your attorney. You guys have had since November 2nd to address the issue. The issue is pretty cut and
We
dry.
don't
in terms-
agree on the issue, Mr. Brew. We don't agree in the
That's
statutory
fine.
It
interpretation.
doesn't matter whether or
So-
not we agree on it or not.
Well,
That's
to
what the
remove
State Board of
me,
Accounts
don't you think
finds.
you need a judicial review to remove me?
I don't know that we're removing you. I don't know that we have the authority
So what
to
are
do
you
that.
doing?
What we're doing is we're not going to pay you. We do have the authority
Okay,
to
thank
not pay
you for
someone.
saying that. You're not going to pay me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. When are our attorneys going to be paid now that you've paid your own?
That's up to you.
Yeah.
You hired them.
How are we to pay them? They
Don't know.
represent the sheriff's office. See, again, we go back to the
You guys
appointments.
personally.
Yeah.
No, sir, no.
Okay, yeah.
No, Tom Farlow with Frost Brown Todd represents us personally.
Okay.
Rick Martin represented us personally. Jay Moore represented us personally, all of which have been paid out of mine and the sheriff's personal accounts.
Then it sounds like the precedent's set.
What's that?
You paid Jay Moore. He represents you.
I paid Jay Moore in 2018 to negotiate contracts that were never
And
negotiated.
you negotiated yourself a pay raise before you ever took office. Is what
That's
you guys did.
a pay raise for who?
You and the sheriff.
No, sir. No, sir.
Absolutely.
2019, I was underpaid by statutory requirements. The Indiana Court of Appeals said you have to pay the matron that of a merit deputy,
Okay.
and I was not paid that of a merit deputy in 2019.
Okay. Well, I think the,
That goes with the sheriff's pay.
Sheriff, hold on. If you could go to the podium, we had some issues with sound last time. Thank you.
Just like previously, there's a statutory minimum of what the sheriff makes.
right.
10% of tax warrants, 6% of the prosecutor's pay. And in 2019, it wasn't that. So that's what the conversation was, and that was the only thing that Jay Moore was asked to help get accomplished, so that we can find that. President of the council, Alan Dunn, said he didn't want to step into the tax warrant issues, so that's why. So that's here nor there. As far as the commitment to what we're going to do next, properly remove the exemption, and we'll move forward. That, I think that's without a doubt. If that's the nepotism policy the county wants to adopt, then we'll adhere to it. But it has to be by the statute under Section 9, and follow those steps, and we'll move forward. And as far as the response to the nepotism, I get it. SBOA puts the recommendation in there. SBOA does this not on any whim or anything else, but it's under what they have found. But we have to, at the county level, at your level, put it in the right perspective. Do the right thing with the ordinance so that the ordinance reflects properly the that's the nepotism policy. And that's my response. That's my response to the nepotism issue. And, prior to that, everything was signed prior to January 1, 2019. Everything was, to be taken care of. Everything was to be, on the up and, on the front and done right. And at a point in time, the ball got dropped somewhere. We'll find out. But the idea is that if it's a nepotism issue and that's what the county wants, and that's the most restrictive that the Clinton County wants to be, then do the right thing and have those remove the exemption and file those removals. That's what I ask. And then, okay, she can't be the matron.
Or you can just respond to SBOA with, it was never the intent of the 2012 commissioners, because I do not believe that it was, to
But that's
to
your
take away
belief.
the Yeah, it is my opinion. Unfortunately, the gentleman I spoke to was not available to come in this morning and tell you what the actual intentions were of the 2012 commissioners. However, just like we've gone over, there is an exemption in the statute for a reason, and if you want to revoke the exemption, that's fine. You have the ability to do that under Section 9, but your policy needs to indicate that you are removing the exemption. And while we're on the topic, I also want to talk to you, there seems to be a little bit of confusion about what I do as matron. I've heard a lot about I just sit in a chair and I don't do anything. So I'm going to run through
Well,
a couple.
hold on. I do want to say one thing. I don't believe that to be true.
I hope not, Mr.
I've
Brewer,
not- I've
because
not
I
heard
work
that.
tirelessly. I work tirelessly. I'm on the phone with the federal government at midnight sometimes. I was standing in line at a funeral the other day on the phone with the federal government. And it's all to make these taxpayers revenue so that you don't have to increase their tax base. That's why I do what I do. And the whole reason of bringing it in is to get guys like Deputy West and Special Deputy Dillingham the tools that your brother, Mr. Brewer, the tools they need to operate within the sheriff's office. From our Tahoes to our manpower, et cetera. That is the purpose of my job. It's to find revenue and it's to find savings. And that's what I've done under this administration, to the tune of over $2 million between DOC and the Federal Inmate Program. It's a great program, and for some reason the county has fought us the entire way. But I'm going to go through a couple things if I can have a moment.
Can you tell me where we fought you?
The Federal Inmate Program, that the sheriff didn't have the authority to bring the federal inmates in.
But it had already been done.
Yeah, it had, because he has the authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, how's that fighting you?
But it was a part of litigation in Tippecanoe County. I don't know. I don't know why you added it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you guys have everything you need? If we ever said no?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're not a part of this process, Mr. Ewitz.
Because they don't hear what happens here. They only hear what comes from you guys.
Well, they are able to go on to YouTube at any time and review any of these meetings.
Yeah, but this is a two-way street. Everything you said that's been said about you has been said about us.
Not by
You
myself,
stand-
Mr.
You
Ewitz.
just said we stood in your way. We didn't want them to have the good equipment. We didn't want them to have the vehicles, and that's not true.
May I continue?
Sure.
Okay. When we took office in 19, commissary had an annual revenue of just over $200,000 because we renegotiated our inmate phone contract. We added video visitation and texting, as well as updating and expanding the commissary menu available for inmate purchase. Commissaries increased to the 2020 annual revenue of approximately $454,000. What's amazing to me is that we have a councilman that started the 50-50 pay program for the commissary manager, Sheriff Hensley. And we were able to increase the fund by thousands of dollars from the above mentioned. We have used this fund to make purchases that county government would otherwise be responsible for, like our 3 new commercial kitchen appliances recently installed in '21. We have purchased many other items from motorcycles, maintenance truck, uniforms, body armor, COVID PPE supplies, radio equipment, commercial ice machine, fingerprint machine, body scanner, Drager machine, commercial washing machine, computers, canines, drones, printers, adult education supplies, etc., all of which didn't require county tax dollars or for us to have to wait to work it into a budget. Federal inmate program. I spent from March of 2020 to August of 2020 getting the proper paperwork in order for the sheriff to hold federal inmates for the United States Marshals. I assure you, this was not an easy feat. I'm on the phone daily with feds, and to run this program, my program, is a 24/7 job. This program brings approximately $120,000 per month to the county, and it's made roughly $1.4 million in '21. What this program has offered was the ability to hire manpower for the jail and the deputies, 8 jail staff and 4 deputies, not to mention a new part-time investigative assistant. This program also provides us the ability to purchase outright our Tahoes for the deputies to be in the safest and most reliable police vehicles. For 2022, it will also be purchasing body cameras for $327,000, tasers and cartridges, and cell extraction equipment. We write a check for these items. No lease agreements are required or payment plans needed. In our '22 budget, we also relieved the tax-funded county general fund of a $100,000 service line. This was revenue that the council and the sheriff agreed would always be mutually agreed upon before additional appropriation took place. However, you've utilized the fund to pay your attorney over $52,000. Attorney fees incurred suing the sheriff over the very fund that they paid their attorney from. The same fund commissioners insisted the sheriff had no authority to operate. You also took $23,000 to pay your hand-picked engineering company without a bid process. The county wants an interlocal agreement guaranteeing a large sum of money from the loss of the IU hospital lease. DOC, we hold DOC inmates. That's an additional $500,000 annually. This is a program that requires billing and monitoring, all of which takes place through me. I work in this to ensure we get reimbursed for the medical care of these inmates. After looking through years of the opportunity to recoup these monies, I've only found 2 reimbursements totaling less than $500 prior to our administration. DEA asset forfeiture. I believe we have a pending asset forfeiture over $20,000 from the work that our officers have done on I-65, taking violent criminals off of our roadways with guns, cash, drugs, etc. It's another process put into place that I oversee, is the DEA asset forfeiture. That money's going to come back, and it also goes to the 4th floor to the prosecutor's office.
Can I ask you a question real quick? So you've told us all these things that you're doing, right? And you've told us that you're answering phone at midnight, at a funeral, working all this time. So what is the problem with having to keep track of your hours? Because obviously, in your mind, you're putting in the time. So there shouldn't be any issue in terms of supplying the time, turning it in.
Because I serve at the will of the sheriff. I'm an appointed position. I am not in your county handbook. I serve at the will of the sheriff.
So you're not a county employee.
I am not in your county handbook. I am considered a member of the department. And by
Are you
the
a
Indiana
county
Court
employee?
Hold on. The Indiana Court of Appeals has said I am a member of the department, and that's why you pay me that of a deputy, because by the Indiana Court of Appeals, I am the same rank grade or pay grade as the deputies. Are the deputies in your county handbook? No, they are not.
They're controlled by the merit board, correct? But I believe in the handbook has a policy for the sheriff's department.
It does for our civilian employees.
Are you a county employee?
I am
Were
provided a
you a-
salary. I am
As a-
provided a salary by the county per state statute. Statute says the matron will be paid out of the county general fund.
Okay.
Okay? Work release. For years, without statute, authority, ordinance, or written agreement, the county expected and received 50% of the profits of the work release fund. We shut this down because there was no written documentation for those funds to be expended to the county general fund. Grants, I currently oversee 6: DOC, CHIRP, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, our VEST grant, rehabilitation grant for the jail. I'm also, or I was, currently working on a grant to cover the new employees so that we were not taking their salaries out of the federal inmate fund, and that we could offer some more savings there for a couple of years. Fundraising, Cops for Kids, Motor Patrol Program, the AEDs that we put into the facility in all department vehicles, not to mention the savings. When we first came in, I took a hard look at the medical co-pays that were not being appropriated correctly. They were going into county general instead of their own fund. It took me a couple months to get that corrected. But aside from that, by rebilling the medical co-pays per statute, as we came in, you're just paying medical bills as they came in. You're only required to pay Medicare plus 4%. So that's what we did. And in 19, we saved $205,000 to the county and $140,000 in 2020. This is money that would have come out of county general through the 380 budget, but it didn't have to. I reorganized tax warrants, collecting a statute allowed processing fee. In 17 and 18, Clinton County missed out on over $50,000 in potential revenue. We worked to reorganize our pension program that was nearly bankrupt when we took office and set to default to PERF. It was about $2 million in 19. We're over $6 million today. Currently working to get deputies their statute-allowed retiree insurance program. Where's that at?
I'll tell you where it's at now that you point that out. I'm waiting on an email from the sheriff.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for the, Sheriff Kelly, I'm looking for the email that, from One America. And they may have not have sent it yet, but they
Okay.
will provide it. And that's the people that either are eligible currently or that will be eligible in the next probably 2 years. So I'm waiting on One America, which handles all the.
Okay. And that'll help me
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
figure out
We're at a
what
very
kind of
minimal
how
amount
much
of
we can
people
afford.
that are eligible.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
fact that, one retiree actually still works for the county and gets active benefits, so.
Okay.
And that'd be, so though, we may have 3, if that.
That's great.
We may not even take it. So, I mean, it's something that's really, we can accomplish as an agency and as a county to get that done and provide people that, so. But I am waiting on One America to provide that information,
Thank you.
yes.
Programs, drug and alcohol treatment program, the adult education program, financial literacy, and the second chance program. These are all programs that I oversee or personally run within the jail. I'm going to tell you, I had a couple former inmates reach out to me over the weekend thanking me for changing their lives, saving their lives, etc. These are programs that you really need somebody in there that's going to be loyal to the programs and really own these programs. I initiated a quarterly strike team with the Indiana State Department of Health to issue vaccinations to our inmate population. This is about half of my responsibilities as the matron. This doesn't even cover the claims and all of the office work. So again, I would appreciate you giving the sheriff his lawful authority and having a sit down with us rather than going through with what you're doing today.
I myself appreciate everything you're bringing in for the taxpayers and the money. And I think this is more about the policy and procedures than it is the cars and everything else.
Okay, again, I would ask for a judicial determination on that.
And I think we agreed to that, didn't we, Tom? We agreed for that to be included in the Tippecanoe case. I'm not sure if you're not getting communication.
So why would you stop my pay prior to that taking place? That, I guess that's my issue. I'm fine with
Hang on.
whatever the judge decides. What I'm not fine
Yeah,
with,
sure. I get that
you're
too.
taking exigent circumstances here and removing my pay before
you'll
any
let me
formal
explain.
decision is handed down by a
If you
judicial
will let me
determination.
explain,
Absolutely, go ahead.
between our last meeting, when that decision was made to stop pay today, and today, which has been 1 week, that conversation took place between our attorneys, where we agreed to allow that to be allowed into the case in Tippecanoe County so that we can get a judicial determination. I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
Okay, then would you also agree to continue my pay until that judicial determination has been made?
We have made an offer to continue your pay. At
This
the
i-
exact same rate.
Mr. Timmons, this offer, I have been told by multiple attorneys not to sign for a number of reasons, because I cannot relinquish the constitutional authority of the sheriff to you. That's not my authority to relinquish. I am politically appointed. I'm at the will of the sheriff. I cannot remand, because in this, you're taking away his position of matron to reappoint with somebody else. And I cannot do that. That's his constitutional authority. That's his statutory authority. I cannot sign away a political appointment of the sheriff. I cannot do that.
We were
I
going to
will
put
not
you in
do
the
that.
same position you're in.
As a contractor with county benefits on a county
this
time
thing's
clock.
resolved.
It's fine.
Until
It's
this is
clear.
resolved.
You don't want, you're not going to agree to the contract, right? can't. You
No,
say you can't.
no,
Okay.
no.
So that point's, we're done with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
To
think,
answer your
yeah.
question, why would we not allow you to continue until the judicial process is played out? I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. So,
Okay.
but that's just me.
I
I'm just
understand.
one vote.
I understand.
Understand, Sheriff Kelly here, as far as the appointees and what's provided by the Constitution of the Sheriff's Office,
Yeah.
that is something that I gotta stand and put my feet down on the ground and say, we can't allow this to happen. And just like the work contract, with the writing in it, have more conversation in regards to the writing of the contract. Maybe that's something that, we can do through Mr. Little, whatever the case is, to have that understanding. And if you become more restrictive on the nepotism issues, then so be it. Do the proper channels. Section 9 is where it's at. That has to be filed. And to remove those exemptions. And when that happens, and if that's happened in 2012, then let us know. Send it to me. You got my email. I got yours, Josh. Send it to me. And you know what? If
Yeah,
that's the case, then that's the case. Then we'll follow through with her not being appointed as the matron. But as far as appointment, she's appointed. And that's where we stand. And I know we're going to disagree. I know we're going to argue about it through attorneys or whatever the case is, but I appreciate to allow the judicial decision in that fashion in February. So
That's just my
appreciate
opinion.
it. I agree.
Yeah.
I understand. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what that's the abilities. That's what you have. So thank you very much for your time.
Could I get an official acceptance or decline of the offer for the?
For my attorneys, I decline your proposal. It's not a legal proposal for me to make.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on. Next up, any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to Rick Campbell, the highway update. Morning, Rick.
Just doing the same old thing. We're just hauling some stone right now, and we went out Sunday, yesterday for a couple hours, put some material down on the roads. That's basically all we're doing right now.
Okay.
I talked to you a little bit about this before the meeting, but I just want to make it official here with these guys. Michigan Town reached out, the town of Michigan Town, and I think everybody's getting excited because there's a chance of snow here later in the week. So they wanted to know if they could buy some salt sand mix if we had enough. And so I told them that I didn't think that'd be a problem. We just sell it to them at whatever our cost is, and
Right.
they'll have to come get it. I mean, we're not going to deliver it or anything, so we won't have any expense there. So as long as that's okay with you guys, I'd like to go ahead and get that approved.
I'm okay with it.
All right, I'll make I guess.
Yeah.
Guess I forgot I'm not the president anymore. I'll make a motion to sell the town of Michigan Town salt sand mix at our cost.
How much do you think it's gonna be? I mean, is this
Honestly, I
gonna be
don't
an
know.
every
He
year
said
thing,
they
or
never
is
even
it-
fill their truck all the way up because they won't use it all before it freezes and the thing won't work, so.
I'll second your motion.
Motion carries 3-0. Is that all you got, Rick?
Thanks, Rick.
All right, thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Next up is Liz Stitzel, area plan update. Good morning, Liz.
Morning. I don't have a whole lot. Obviously, grass isn't a thing right now. I am going to try to have reports for you by your next meeting or the meeting after, both year-end report. And then I'm going to try to, every year we put together just kind of where we're at with unsafe structures, what's in the queue, and talk about goals for the next year. Unless there's anything else you need from me, that's all I've got.
Yeah? You guys got anything?
No.
Nope. Thanks, Liz. All right, we'll go to old business. First thing on our agenda here is some discussion on our COVID policy. It expired at the end of 2021, so we kind of have to make some type of determination in moving forward if we want to adopt a new policy, continue this one, and as we've kind of discussed, there's some legislation coming, hopefully today, but within the next few days from the state on what their guidelines are going to be, and I think that'll determine somewhat what we do as well. So I guess I'll open it up for some board discussion on it.
Could we follow the CDC now, the 5-day? Because we've already got people off this year already, and then adjust the policy as we need to after everything comes out.
I think that's appropriate. I also think that we need to not only adjust our COVID policy in regards to when people can come back to work, we also need to adjust it in how the COVID pay is addressed. And you had some suggestions on how to do that. I have a policy that I've come up with for when to return to work. So it would be for, essential employees. I talked to Sheriff Kelly last week after the meeting and told him that I would, once I got that fine-tuned, I would send it to him to see whether or not he was agreeable to doing that. And then I thought that we would talk to Renee, obviously your jail staff, so that would be through you, Sheriff, and EMS in order to get those back quicker. So I have worked on that. It's a fairly aggressive timeline in getting people back. So I'll get that to you and Director Miller today and Renee, and let you guys take a look at it, give me your feedback before we put anything in place as far as that's concerned. So my recommendation would be to hammer out a policy and have it ready for our next meeting. But I don't think I'm ready today to make a proposal. So
Yeah, we don't have nothing
especially
concrete.
with
Putting all those
the
together.
state legislature
yeah.
today, and then the Supreme Court, I believe, hears that case on the mandate on the 8th.
So what about the people that's off now?
So would you guys be willing, or do you think a good option would be to continue our current policy until our next meeting when we can adopt a new policy?
I do. It would create less
I mean-
confusion than changing it twice within 2 weeks.
I mean, it's extending it, but I think we have to do something between now and our next meeting, and this will give us 2 weeks to kind of hammer out and piece together multiple ideas into it, as well as get some direction from the state.
Motion to continue the current policy we have now.
Second.
Motion to continue our current COVID policy until our meeting, which is January 7th, 18th. So our current policy will stay in place until January 18th. At that time, we will have a new policy to present. We've already went through the Gerald Matron consulting agreement. One other item under old business to discuss would be the Montgomery County Court case on the e-cigarettes. We had filed a motion to correct errors, which was denied here in the last month. So we kind of have two options. We can appeal it and send it through the appellate court, or we can just drop it right there. So I'll open it up for board discussion here on what option, direction we want to go. And Tom, if you have any input you'd like to add, please feel free to provide that.
Sure, yeah, this just gives me the option, we got 30 days.
Okay.
And there could still be, I'm looking into different options before filing an appeal, but the next step then would be to file an appeal. And so I need your authority to do that before I proceed.
Could make a motion to file an appeal.
Second.
Motion to appeal carries 3-0. All right, moving on to new business. The first item is to approve the 2022 bonds for Sheriff Kelly, Ed Kripe, Ray Harris, Gina Bretnacher, Britt Osler, and Beth Keeney. These are the yearly bonds that we do for these office holders. I believe nothing's different with them, so
Motion to approve. All bonds.
motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have issuing a RFPQ for the design, build, and operate and finance for the projects of the county annex, courthouse, and jail renovation. We have Carson Smith is here, I believe, yep, and Rich Taylor from Envoy. If you got anything you'd like to add or want to tell us about it, we'd be glad to have you step up to the podium. Thanks for coming today, Rich.
Thank you, my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Rich Taylor, Envoy. Thank you for having me today. The first step in order to proceed and build, operate, transfer, you guys have obviously have already accomplished with help of legal counsel is passing the resolution to enact the provisions of Indiana Code 5-23. I'm not an attorney. I was just told that's what I'm supposed to say from the attorneys. The next step is then to issue an RFPQ to make a selection of a team to begin the scoping process to plan, design, and come up with a guaranteed budget for any and all projects for which you see fit related that are listed in the RFPQ. So this would be the next step of the process in order to be able to select a team through a qualifications-based selection to move forward for planning and design, and what is called the scoping process to come up with guaranteed budgets for various projects you'd like to proceed with.
You guys have any questions for Rich?
What kind of time frame are we looking at?
So the time frame will be, as far as design, the time frame is going to vary based on the wishes of the county and which projects they'd like to accomplish. Design, some of the planning work and study work you have already accomplished or will accomplish very soon, and that will give us a very good path to move forward. A design of a completely new facility can take 4 to 6 months to give you an idea. I would say we would have a GMP for the projects that you wanted to move forward with. I would say definitely by June or July at the latest.
I'll make a motion to approve issuing RFPQ to design, build, operate, finance, and maintain county annex, the county courthouse, and any potential jail renovation projects.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for being here, Rich.
Thank you for having me. Just let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
I don't think that has a signature. Okay. Next up is the department heads. See a few here. Anyone wanna? Hi, Renee.
Things.
Good morning.
Good morning. I emailed you this morning a couple names we still had 2 openings. Wanted to get through the holidays and everything, so they should start next Monday.
Okay.
Also, when I got back in, I've been out for the last week and a half or so, I completely forgot. Saturday being the 1st should have been our tornado siren testing.
Oh.
So we will send out a nickel. I do think it's important to go ahead and do that this month, so we're going to do that. You get this coming Saturday, I think is the 8th, I believe. We're going to go ahead and do it because our new radios and everything are in, and I want to make sure, obviously, that they work anyway, but with our new equipment, I want to make sure that it activates as it's supposed to. With that, so we're gonna change that to this coming Saturday. So I apologize for that. I knew it was the 1st, but it just didn't dawn on me.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. One other thing, in the scope of the project coming up, like if there is anything that might affect dispatch, I would love to be a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
If there's anything in the building during the process,
Okay.
we're in there.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
housed there. So if there is anything at the sheriff's office or anything that might affect us or whatever, I would love to be a part of that. So I think other than that, I don't think I have anything else. I hope to next month or at your next meeting have my year-end report that I usually
Okay.
do. Britt came down and we had a joint training that we attended with the state board. Virtually, the state 911 board, because I have my year-end report due to the state. So it was open to the auditors and directors, so we did do that together. So
Okay.
I don't think I have anything else unless you have anything for me.
I do not.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks for the update. Any other department heads? Rodney.
I was going to say, Rodney's here. Surely he's
Morning.
got something to say.
I try to stay under the radar whenever necessary and possible, but did want to touch base with you gentlemen. I was not at the year-end meetings, but was taking that mandatory vacation time. But did want to at least bring you up to date with some of the things that are still currently going on with COVID. We are still seeing a large press for testing. We're at capacity. We have been for the last 2 weeks. My guess is today's appointments are all full. Tomorrow's will be as well by the end of the day. Not sure how long that will go on. We're currently testing 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday. We keep a list of other available sources for folks who, call for, I got to have it tomorrow, or I got to have it over the weekend, trying to direct them that direction. We're continuing to work with Britt and her office to make sure that the money is available to pay those staff folks. My estimation is we've probably, through the health department grants, expended about $130,000 to $140,000 in testing since would be September of 2020 when we started that auxiliary testing. We've additionally continued our vaccine campaign. We're going to be looking at that early on this year in the next week or so as to how often that's going to be necessary. Unfortunately, testing's going this way, and in some cases, vaccinations are going the other direction. So we've maintained since June 1 day a week on a Wednesday and been able to handle that load. And hopefully trying to keep it in there, because then we have to look elsewhere otherwise. So we've probably expended in the neighborhood of $70,000 in maintaining the vaccination campaign in the meantime. When you consider that most of the testing and the vaccine services are somewhat free, that's still quite a significant amount of money to make sure that those are, and again, my thanks to Britt's office to help us keep all that extraneous grant money straight and able to keep account of it. So moving into the category, last week we hit the red as far as color metrics for the counties in the state. That's the first time we've been in the red for quite a while. We held off for quite a while, but that means, for one, our positivity rate's above 15% right now. So just to make everyone aware, when we're looking at different decisions and policies and things, that unfortunately I'd love to be able here to stand and tell you we're over with, we're done, and we're going to move into normality, but I'm not sure when that will be exactly yet. But we will get a new update on the color metrics this week, on either late today or tomorrow. My hope is we go back to orange, but just in case, I'll let you know if we stay in the red.
Okay.
Because that's our most critical stage and our area of most concern. So we are, like you, waiting on policies from the state and feds and litigation as well as to whether mandated testing, and we talk mandated vaccines. That's not as much my concern as mandated testing. Both the city and county have a great burden of employees that they would then now have to perhaps provide testing for. So I'm looking at strategies to be able to expand what current testing we have to maybe make available sometime just for those employees as well. So along the lines of trying to keep essential services going throughout this as well as we can. So. But I am here, as always, to answer or entertain any questions that you have as well.
I got one running. Should all the other counties around us move up to, or are we the only one?
The other counties were ahead of us. They had already been in the red, and unfortunately, over the last 2 holiday weekends, well, for instance, the near surrounding ones were back to orange. There were still several counties in Indiana that were red through the holidays, but Tippecanoe and Montgomery and those guys had already hit their red about 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us. So, and they had gone back to orange. But my hope is we will too once we get past the New Year's Eve situation. So.
Very good. Anything else? Thank you, Roger.
Certainly.
Appreciate
Thank you.
everything. Any other department heads? Okay, seeing none, I'll go to commissioners' reports. You guys have anything?
I would like to see about releasing some money from the ARP program for the boilers and chillers at the courthouse and the jail.
Okay. I think,
I don't know what our next move on that is.
I think we need to have a committee meeting.
yeah, we have to have the committee meeting to, I believe, do the reallocation of the funds to a specific item. So,
There's a lot of specifics with it.
so let's, we'll work to get something
I'd
scheduled
like
for
to
the
get something
committee.
started because there's such a time period.
How long is that lag? You told me, but I forgot.
14 weeks to get the chillers.
Okay. Yeah,
That's gonna put us into, what, close to April.
yeah, 3 months,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Yeah, let's get we'll get a meeting scheduled for the committee, and then we can adjust the language of it and be able to move forward, because we received the bids on those, and I'm sure they're only good for so many days as well, so. Anything else?
No.
Josh, anything?
The only thing I had to report was I heard from Anita Stewart this week from United Way, and she gave me the good news that as a result of our United Way Day Off program, that our participation was up 46% this year. So
Awesome.
and she asked if we would be willing to be a pace setter for next year. So
What does that mean?
it just means you're one of the lead organizations in the campaign, so you kind of have a public face
Okay.
as far as being part of the campaign, as opposed to just being a participant. So
Yeah,
yep, okay,
Very good.
I will tell her yes.
all right.
That's all I got. I don't have anything.
Okay, we will move on to claims. We have bi-weekly claims dated January 3rd, 2022, in the amount of $337,839.40. Utility claims dated January 3rd, 2022, in the amount of $31,916.03. Highway claims dated January 3rd in the amount of $7,800.
Motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have payroll. We have payroll dated December 17th, 2021, in the amount of $415,991.51, and payroll dated December 17th, 2021, in the amount of $3,851.60.
Motion to approve payroll.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0. Last, we have minutes, minutes from our regular meeting on December 27th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0. With seeing no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.